Well, lastly, we just been talking about GUI application development, right? So what did I say? Array, GUI application, graphical user interfaces, basically. The advantage with this particular GUI applications is they're user friendly. They are user friendly. You don't require to learn any commands to work with. You don't require to learn any commands to work with. And very importantly, they are user friendly. Anyone can easily use them. And next, to develop the GUI application, I said you the history. When it started, in the late 80s, Microsoft introduced with its Windows operating system. Again, in the early 90s, we just have the Visual Basic language. The Visual Basic language providing you GUI support. Later on, so many languages came in the market allowing you to build GUI application. But very importantly, Visual Basic is the most important of all those things. Visual Basic is the most important of all those things here. Okay, so fine. Now, the next important thing what we're going to learn today is how to build a GUI application. How to build a GUI application. So guys, listen. If at all you wanted to build a GUI application, the very important thing what you guys should understand, you need some controls. Last class I stopped it here only. If at all you want to build a GUI application, what do you require? You need controls. You just require controls. Like what? Text boxes, buttons, labels, check boxes. So many, not like one or two. Controls are required. Okay. Can I build a GUI application with C++? I can build it. But unfortunately with C++, what did I say? Controls are not available. Because the controls are not available, what's our responsibility now? Our responsibility now is to build the controls. And I said you in the last class, to build each and every control, it will take minimum a month of time. To create a simple login form also, you need 4 or 5 months of time now. Are you clear? But when you just come to your .NET, when you come to your .NET, what's it? All the controls are readily available to you. All the controls are readily available to you. I don't require to develop any controls on my own. All controls are readily available to you. Microsoft provided you a very big set of controls to you. Microsoft provided you a big set of controls to you. A rich set of controls have been provided by Microsoft to build the GUI applications. Not like 1 or 2 controls here, hundreds of controls are given by Microsoft to you for building the GUI applications. And do remember a point, all these controls are going to be classes. All these controls are what? Classes. Every control is a class. Yesterday, I stopped at this point only. Do you remember? What is that? In object-oriented programming, everything is a class. In object-oriented programming, everything is a class. Okay? So, you just recollect, what is an exception? Exception is a class. Exception is a class. Like this, in object-oriented programming, when we come to object-oriented programming, everything is a class. So right now, we have classes that are available here, and we can make use of those particular classes to build a GUI application. So not like 1 or 2 controls, what I said, it provides you a very big set of controls to you, and all the controls are classes. And these classes are defined for you under namespace. What is the namespace? System.windows.forms. System.windows.forms. Do you remember? Till now, maximum you use the classes of system namespace only. Till now, maximum we use the classes of the system namespace only. Correct? From today, we'll be coming across new namespaces, guys. From today onwards, new namespaces will come into picture for us. Okay? The first new namespace what we are coming across today is system.windows.forms namespace. The system.windows.forms namespace is available to you, and you can just use that system.windows.forms namespace for what? For consuming all the controls. Okay? Say, developing graphical user interfaces. To develop graphical user interfaces, we need some special components. We need some special components known as controls. We need some special components known as controls. Actually, controls are required. Okay. And those controls are readily available. And those controls are readily available in .NET. Those controls are readily available in .NET languages as classes. As classes under system.windows.forms namespace. They're all defined under which namespace? System.windows.forms namespace. Okay. And basically, guys, the control classes are divided into different categorizations. The control classes are divided into different categorizations. Like what? Just have a look at. These are the different categories of the control classes, guys. Common controls means what? Most frequently used controls, guys. Common controls means most frequently used control. Button, text box labels, checkbox, radio buttons and all. Containers. What are these? These are basically container controls. Means they're used for placing other controls on them. They're used for placing other controls on them. Okay. So next, menus. I don't require to tell you. Creating a menu, creating toolbars. We use this. Data controls. Basically, we use these controls for binding data from a database to them. I have data in a tabular format on the database here. I want to display on the screen in a table format now. There's a control called as a data grid view control. It's a data control. Bind the table, grid view will show the table to you now. That are data controls. Components. Some additional components we'll see. Printing controls. You know this printing controls now? Print preview. In the MS Word you just use now. Print preview, print dialog. Printer dialog will come for you. All those are printing controls. Dialog controls. What are dialog controls? You know these dialog controls very well. If you save a file, Control S, a window will open for you, asking you to choose a location to save. If you want to open a file, you would click on the open menu, a window will open for you, asking to choose a file. These are all called as dialog controls. Next, reporting controls. These controls are basically provided for creating reports in your applications. I have some data from a database. All the data should be displayed to the users in a report format. If at all you want to display the data in a report format, at that point of time, we go for using the reporting controls. Okay. So different, all our classes only are divisions. That's all. Say in your school days, do you remember? You just have so many people in the school, but they divide them into different groups, like different PT uniform you'll have, different groups you'll be divided in your school, right or not? Okay, this is also same only. All our classes only, just only division. All categories are put under separate categorization. That's all. Okay, so like this, we just been provided with this. Okay, now what you wanted to do, I wanted to work with these controls now. What I wanted to do, I want to work with this particular controls. Okay, let's see how to work with the controls. Listen a point, eh? Whatever is the control, doesn't matter here. It is a data control or it is a common control or it is a container control, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But every control is associated with three things. Every control is associated with three things. Whatever the control it was, every control has three things in common. There are three things that we commonly come across with each and every control. What are the three things? The three things are properties, methods, and events. Properties, methods, and events. So properties, you learned properties in C# now? Yes or not? What a property represents? Properties represent the attributes of an entity. Correct? Property represents what? Attributes of an entity. You learned methods in C# now? Methods. Methods are used for performing actions. We define methods to perform action. See, customer is a class. In the customer class, customer ID, name, balance, status, all these are properties here. Properties. Okay. If at all you take a customer ID, name, balance, all these are properties, attributes of the class now, attributes of the entity. Okay. Withdrawal, deposit, funds transfer, all these are methods. All these are methods. What will they do? They'll perform actions. When we call the method, immediately it is going to perform a action. Are you clear? So what is the property? Property basically represents the attribute. Properties are nothing but attribute. Methods are actions. Third one is events. What are these events? Yes, we did not learn about events, right? We completed all the 5 types, discussion completed for your class, structure, interfaces, enums. And before we started here, we came across delegates. And 7 methods we completed the discussion. What are the, 7 members we completed the discussion. What are the 7? Fields, methods, constructors, finalizers, properties, indexers, deconstructors. Only one thing is pending for us. What is that? Events. I will explain you events in the GUI programming. We'll learn about events now. Don't worry. Okay, but every control is associated with 3 things. Control is a class here. Every class has properties in it, methods in it, events in it. So in Windows, what do we learn? Every day I will talk about one control class to you, 1 or 2 control classes. And then I will teach you what are the properties in the class, what are the methods in the class, what are the events in the class, and then how to work with that class. That is what we'll be learning now. Okay, now we are not going to define any new properties or methods. Everything is ready. Directly work with it. What is the first one? Properties. What are properties? Properties are nothing but attributes of a control. A control is a class. Attributes of a control. And basically, guys, they define the look of the control. There's a property called as width, height, back color, forecolor, font. All these are the properties now. Now tell me, when I change these properties, will the look of the control change or not? So just understand the point. Properties, these are attributes of a control which have their impact on the look of the control. They are going to have their impact on the look of the control. Example, width. Width is one property. Okay, height. Height is a property. Back color, forecolor, font. Like this, various different properties are available to you. Okay, now tell me. So what is the property? Attributes of a control. These are attributes of a control which have their impact on the look of the control. Their impact will be present on the look of the control. Mostly properties will affect the look of the control. Second, methods. What's a method? Methods are actions here. Methods are actions. We are just going to perform some actions by calling this particular method. That's what deposit is a method. When you call the method, deposit action will be done. Withdrawal action, funds transfer, balance inquiry. All these are methods. They will have their impact on the, they will be performing some actions. They'll be performed. So when you call withdraw, what should happen here? The database should be updated and the money is given to you. And in this process, need to check a lot of validations. What validation? If the balance, what you're withdrawing is less than the available balance in the account. All these condition checks are important or not important? That's what a method will do. Method will do all the actions to you, and finally it will gives the money to you, updates the database and releases the money to you. That's what a series of actions that are performed to you. Okay, so see, these are actions. These are actions performed by a control. Basically, these are actions performed by a control actually. Example, clear. When you call this one, it will clear the content of the controls, guys. Focus. It will put the focus on the control. See, by default, some 10 text boxes are there. Where you expect the focus to be present? First text box. Expect the focus to be present on the first text box. From there, if you want to go to second text box, how do you go? You enter the first name here. From there, you want to go to second text box. How do you go? Tab key here. You use the Windows application GUIs anytime. How you are filling here? You fill, you enter the name, again use the mouse and come to second text box. Tab key. When you use the tab key, the control goes to next text box just to you automatically. What is the focus? Focus is a method to tell. By default, the focus should be in which control? This is a method to set the focus onto that control. To set the focus onto the control. Suppose there is a reset button. What will happen on reset? Tell me. Everything is cleared. After clearing everything, to clear, you need to call the clear method now. Clear method will clear. Afterwards, you want the focus to be present on the first text box now. You will call focus on the first text box. So directly the focus will come now and sit in that location. Same way, we have a method called close. You can understand this now. When you call this method close, what will happen? It will close. It is just going to close the things to you. So these are methods. If I use brace there, that's a method. If I don't use brace there, that's a property. Okay, these are all property, these are all methods. What is new for you? Events. So what is this event? I'll tell you. Like guys, listen. You have a login page here. On the login page, you have two text boxes. One to enter the user ID and one to enter the password. You entered the user ID, you entered the password. After entering the user ID password in the text boxes, if you sit like this idly watching the application, will it log in? What you should do? You entered username, you entered a password. What you should do next? You should click on the login button. You should click on the login button. Then only it will log in. Am I correct? Until and unless you click on the login button, it won't log in. Right or not? Yes or not? So, unknowingly, you use the word here. What is the word? Click. I need to click on the login. That click is what we call as a event. So what is an event? An event is a time period which tells when an action has to be performed. An event is a time period which tells when an action has to be performed. See guys, you entered user ID password, but you clicked on the login button after half an hour. Then only it will log in. Am I right or not? You clicked on the login button after half an hour. Then only it will log in here. Until then it won't log in. You clicked after 1 day. Then it will log in. That's what a time period which tells when an action has to be performed, when the action should be done. That's what it exactly tells to you. Are you clearer or not? Understood my point? See, there are so many different events here. You know them. You know them. Click is an event. Click. It's an event. Means when you click, do some action. Same way we have an event called load event. We have an action event called mouse over. What is the mouse over? See, you have some menus on my screen now. Some icons on my screen. When I put my mouse on that, it will show you some description about that. Have you noticed it? That is called mouse over event. The message comes to you when the mouse is over it. When the message is displayed, when the mouse is over. That's an event, guys. When the mouse over, show this. When the mouse is out, hide it. Again, mouse over. Mouse out. Understood or not? Okay, see, you right click, event. Menu should be shown. When the menu should show, when you right click, menu should show. That's all what we call as events. GUI programming, every action is performed with these events on. In GUI, everything is performed with the help of the events only. Okay, so basically what is an event I said to you? It's a time period which tells when an action has to be performed. Okay, see, these are time periods which specify when an action has to be performed. Examples. Click is one event. Load means when the UI is loading, something should be done. That is load. Means when the application is loading here, it should connect to database and load all the data and show me now. When the application is loading, it has to connect to database and get me all the data and show. So that is load event. Same way, key press. What is that? Just now we discussed that when you right click, we'll get the data. That's called key press. When I press the key, something should happen. Next, shown you mouse over. Same way we have mouse out. Okay, like this. All this comes under what? Events. These are all going to be events. Clearer or not? So every control is associated with three things. What are the three things? Properties, methods, and events. So if at all you want to work with a control, what you need to learn? You need to learn about the properties of the control. You're required to learn about the methods of the control, and also you're required to learn about the events of the control. Okay, now just answer me a small question. What is it? Is there any chance of having common properties, methods, and events between the controls? Just I'm asking you a question, in general question, that's all. Is there any chance of having common properties, common methods, common events between the controls? Yes or not? Yeah. Width, height, back color, fore color, font, all these are common properties. Every control has them. Click is a common event. Every control can be clicked. Mouse over is a common event. Every control you can put a mouse on it now. Correct? Okay. Focus is a common. Every control will have a focus method now. Are you clear? So 100% there is a chance of having common properties, common methods, common events. Then can I put all these things in a parent class and can I define all these things in one class and make it the parent now? You learned in inheritance now. The parent class of all the exceptions is forgot already. Huh? What is the parent class of all the exceptions? Exception. The parent class of all the exceptions is exception. The parent class of all the controls is control. What is the parent? Control. Under control, we have all these controls. What controls? Button, text boxes, labels, check boxes, all controls. The parent is control. Under that we have. So whatever is common, everything will be defined in the control class. Read this note, all of you. The parent class for all the control classes is the class control, which is defined with the properties, methods, and events that are common for each control, like button, text box, form, panel, array, all, whatever controls you have, whatever is common, all the common things are going to be defined under the control class. Don't forget the hierarchy and everything. For exceptions, parent class is exception only. For controls, parent class is controls only. Control is a parent class. Control is the parent class. Okay. So this is how, this is what. Now, the question is how to use these controls and build a GUI application. How to use these controls and build a GUI application. I'll tell you guys. If at all you want to build a GUI application, the first control what you require to create is a form. The first control what you require to create is a form. What is this form? The form is a container. A form is a container. It's a container. Okay, I'll just show you what's a form. Take a notepad here. This is a notepad. Okay, all of you know a notepad. On the notepad, there's a text area for typing the data. Okay, and here we have some menus. File menu, new, open, save as, edit menu, view menu. Like this, we just have some menus here. Are you clear? Where they are present? We have menus, text box. Where are they present? All they are present on a container called as form. What is that form? This is the form here. This minimize, maximize, close buttons you find. That is basically the form. On the form, they place the menu and they place the text box. The root control container is form. We call it as Windows form in Windows applications, web form in web applications, mobile form in mobile application. Have you started HTML? If you started HTML classes already, in HTML, when you are placing your text boxes and all, you'll be using a form there. Form will be present in web also. So Windows also, see, these are desktop applications. We have form here. What we call Windows form. In web also we have a form. What we call, web form. In mobile applications also, we have a form. What we call mobile form. So form is the root control or the container for our application. We need this form for sure. Is it clearer or not? We need to have the form. So first that particular form. See, you take a browser. This also has a form. See guys, the minimize, maximize, the bot, that is the form. On that, there's a text box to enter the URL, and below that, there is one window to display the web pages, all these things. But form is mandatory. So for every GUI application, this form is mandatory. It will have a form. So now what is your plan? Your plan is to build a GUI application now? Then you need to learn how to create a form first. The first thing you're required to do is you're required to learn how to create a form. Okay? If at all you want to create a form, two simple steps here. Very simple. If at all you wanted to define a exception, define a class inheriting from a predefined class exception, remember that? If at all you wanted to create a form, define a class inheriting from the predefined class form so that the new class also is a form. Define a class inheriting from the predefined class form so that the new class is also a form. The new class also will become a form now to you. Is the point clear or not? Okay, what to do? You need to define a class inheriting from the predefined class form so that the new class also will become a form to you right now. Okay, watch the process, guys. Actually, we built it under Visual Studio only, but first I'll show you manually using a notepad. Watch. I'll show you manual coding. What's the folder? C# 9. I'm defining a class with the name called form1.cs. I'm defining a class with the name called form1.cs. First, using system. You know this, I don't require to tell you. When you're writing in a notepad, every day we used to do that now, using system. Second, I need to import one more namespace now. Just now in the morning I said you. System.windows.forms. Why? All controls are defined under this particular namespace. System.windows.forms. Okay. Next. Public class form1 : now you understood, you are inheriting from a predefined class. Which class? Present in forms namespace. And now automatically this class becomes a form now. Are you clear? Now in this, I'm writing a main method. And simply I'm writing form1 f is equals to new form1. Form1 f is equals to new form1. That's all. I'm not writing anything in it. So just to save it, compile the code. There is no output. Simply it has started execution, completed the execution. I did not see the form. Nothing came as an output. Actually, the first step is clear. You need to define a class inheriting from the predefined class form. Second step is to run the form. You're required to take the help of a class called application class. This class is also present under the same namespace one. In this class, actually this class is responsible in running the GUI. This class is responsible in running the GUI. How it runs? It has a method called run. For this, what you're required to pass, your form object as a parameter. That's it. Application.run what? F. See the difference, all of you. Recompiling the form and executing the things now. Executing it now. When I execute, all of you can observe, you will see a form now. That is the form. Are you clear? This is your form, yeah. This is the container now. On this, place your controls now. Text boxes, buttons, whatever you want, you place them. What is created? The form is created for you. And this is going to be your form. Okay. So basically, this is the title bar on which you have minimize, maximize, and close buttons. And this is the data. This is the place where you can put all your controls, whatever you want. Menus, you can put here. Text boxes, you can put here. Whatever you want. Okay. Status bars, you can put in the bottom. Toolbars, you can put on the top. That's your choice. You can place all the things on your form right now. Are you clear how to create a form? Yes or not? Two simple steps I said here. What are the two simple steps? How to develop a GUI application. How to develop a GUI application. Okay. To develop a GUI application, the base control, to develop a GUI application, the base control that has to be created first is form. The base control that has to be created first is form. To create a form, first to define a class inheriting from the predefined class form so that the new class also becomes a form. The first step is you just required to define a class, okay, inheriting from the predefined class. Which class? Form. So that the new class also becomes a form. To understand it, I'm writing here. This is present in which namespace? System.windows.forms is the namespace. System.windows.forms.form. The namespace is system.windows.forms. And the class name is form. Okay. So that the new class also becomes a form, guys. Point clearer or not? Okay. Public class form1 : form. Public class form1 : form. What next? The next step, guys, the next thing what you're required to do is now you defined a class called form now. Now you defined a class called form. Now you want to run the form now? You defined a class called form and now you want to run the form now, correct? And if at all you want to run that form, what you need to do now is we just required to say to run the form class, we have defined, call the static method run. Call the static method run of application class by passing the instance of the form we have created as a parameter. By passing the instance of the form we have created as a parameter to the constructor. The constructor should be what we should pass? The form instance should be passed as a parameter now. Once you pass that instance as a parameter, automatically the code runs to you. Okay. So you can observe this, guys. All of you can have a look. Form1 F is equals to new form1. Next. Application.run F. You can write in a single line. You know that now. Throw new exception. Same only. Application.run new form1. You can just write it on a single line. This. Okay. And now look here. We can develop a Windows application either by using Notepad. I shown you right now. Yes or not? We can develop a Windows application either by using Notepad. I already shown you how to do it using a Notepad. Following the above process as well as under Visual Studio also using Windows Form App project template. We are provided with a Windows Forms App project template, guys. We can just use it. Actually, this is only the right process. Just to make you understand a form, how to write the code, I just shown you writing the code using a Notepad. But the correct thing is open this project called Windows Forms App. And under this Windows Forms App, let us go for designing it the Windows application. So let us use a Windows Forms App now. Okay, watch, guys. Open the Visual Studio. Create new project. Look. You know this. Now select desktop. Select what? Desktop. You can see. This is .NET Core. This is .NET Framework. But one thing I'll tell you. In .NET Core or .NET Framework, whatever you develop, it runs on Windows only, but doesn't run on Linux or Mac. GUI applications, Windows Forms applications, basically these are targeting only Windows, but not other operating systems. Are you clear? Web apps and all will run. Console apps will run. Web apps will run, but not Windows. Desktop apps won't run. Desktop apps are purely for Windows. See, both are having the same description only. Watch. Both are having the same description only. What is it? A project for creating a .NET Windows Form app. Same thing only. In the bottom, it will show you only Windows support. But when you say console, you remember Windows, Linux, Mac. It's shown all three options. But now it is not showing you because both of them will run only on the Windows. Okay. The GUI support varies from OS to OS. Yeah, the graphics and all varies from OS to OS. That's why graphical support for other OS has not been given by Windows. And anyhow, you know, like Mac basically Mac doesn't allow other apps to run on it. Mac basically just doesn't allow other things to run on it basically. So that's why GUI support wise, we don't have platform independency for GUI. GUI apps will purely run on Windows on. They purely run on the Windows on. What to take? Latest, old one. So let us take the latest. What is that? Core. This is core. Okay. Click on the next button. Give some name to it. I just given some name, guys. The name I used is Windows Project. Let's save in our own folder. Right? Yeah. Next. You know this. Remaining all same here. In the first level, we just without selecting console app, now we selected Windows Forms app. That's all. Rest of everything is same only. Create. When you see this project here, by default, the project comes with a form to you automatically. Watch. Loading still. Got it? By default, it will create your form and give you the name form1.cs. The name is form1.cs. Open the Solution Explorer and watch, guys. Form1.cs. Okay, now this is your form1 showing you what design. What is this design again? Actually, if you just observe, understand about this one concept here. The forms which are designed under Visual Studio has two places to work with. It has two places to work with. What are the two places? Design view, code view. What is design view? What you are seeing is a design view now. Now you can perform your designing here. You can perform your designing here with a drag and drop feature. With a drag and drop feature. What is that? In the left hand side, just like Solution Explorer on the right side, in the left hand side, you'll find an option called Toolbox. You'll find an option called as Toolbox. Just a minute. Long back, it's not being used. Yeah. Toolbox not loading. It has to load you all the controls. Don't know what is happening. Choose items. issue with 2022. Hold on, guys. Actually, the toolbox has to load all the controls. Yeah, all the controls should load here like this. Not loading there. I don't know why. What is the problem? It's telling problem in 2022. 19 works. 2022 has a problem, it seems. Now, if both are installed, problem is there. Maybe directly 2022 problem may not be, but if both are installed, problem it seems. My system has both installed. Where? Let's see. You mean to say here or in the start window? Start development is enabled. If it doesn't work, you can open a framework project. A framework or core, whatever it is, both runs on Windows only. Let's see. Actually, that's a bug in 2019, 22, both are installed. This problem is there, it seems. So what is saying is uninstall and install 22 separately. I have because both are installed on my machine. Not loading. What happened? Let's try with framework project. So just choosing a framework project. Let us see. Windows project. Loaded here. No, no. Actually, 2019-22 both are present. It's a problem, it seems. So, but now, yeah, I opened a framework project and it's loading. You can see all the controls should load here. These are all the controls, all controls, and here divided: common controls, container controls, menus, data. Is what I explained to you first. Components, printing controls, dialog controls. Like this, we just have a different set of controls that are available here. Okay, we can work with these controls now. Yeah. Where I started, guys, I just has been starting about started in here. What's it? When you're working with the Windows, you'll be having two places to work with. The two places are, one is design view and the second one is code view. What is design view? Design view is a place where you're going to design your user interface with a drag and drop feature. You're going to design the user interface with a drag and drop feature. For example, in the left-hand side in the toolbox, we have all the controls here. Watch. You see buttons, checkboxes, all controls are there now. I can drag a button now and the button is on my form now. Is a button. It's a button. I can drag and drop a button like this. Okay. I want to create a, last class I said to you guys, I want to create a login form. It's a matter of 2 minutes. Drag and drop 2 labels, username, password, drag and drop 2 text boxes, drag and drop 2 buttons. Once you drag and drop, everything is set ready. Are you clearer or not? Once you drag and drop, everything is set ready to you automatically. So like this, we can just make use of the drag and drop feature that is available and design it. That's what we call design view. So design view is a place where we are going to design our UI by using a simple drag and drop feature. By using the simple drag and drop feature, design view, we can do all the designing work here. Second thing is code view. What is the code view? See, you designed it, you dragged and dropped, created text boxes and all, everything is ready. But you're required to write the logic for login button. When you click on the login, you need to contact a database. You need to check whether the entered user ID password are present in the database records or not. If it is valid, to perform an extraction. If not valid, what to do? All these particular things should be, logic has to be implemented now. Are you clearer or not? Where to implement that logic? The logic is implemented in the code view. The logic is implemented in the code view. How do you go to the code view? Watch. This is the design. Okay, now what is the code view? Right click, view code. Will take you to the code view. Actually, both will show you as form1.cs only. To differentiate, here you will see design. This is the design view and this is the code view. And here you have all the code now. Class here, see, that's a class. Form 1, colon, form. The same thing only I shown you now. But have you noticed it? There is a partial class. Yesterday only I explained you. All GUI applications are partial classes. Why? Studio will be writing the code for you. What code it will write? I show you. When you drag and drop your controls, for every control, coding has to be written. And all that code will be written by the studio under a separate file associated with the same class. Which class? Form 1 only. But the code will be in a separate file. What I'm saying, showing is, say this is your code. Right now, you see, only that's all. Nothing is present here. But see, when I'm going to drag and drop the controls here, I drag and drop one button, one checkbox. Just a minute. I'll set the size for it. Because it's very small, not visible properly. I'm setting a font. Yeah. Now see. Can you see the button now? I dragged and drop a button. Checkbox. Drop down list. A drop down list. Same way. Text box. They're all controls. They're all controls. I can simply drag and drop the control and start using the control now. Okay. Now, for all these controls on your place now, some coding has to be implemented. And go and see in the code view. Code view doesn't have any code as it is like the earlier. You did not see any code. Then where is the code? All the code is written by Studio in a separate file to you. But of the same class. Which class? Form 1 class. And this is a partial class. Because a partial class, you will find another file in the project with the same class present. Are you clear? I'll show you that also. Watch. Actually, what Studio writes that is unnecessary for you. What Studio writes is unnecessary for you. Just only to preview, Studio is writing the code. I'm showing you that particular file. But going forward, we will not work with that file. We will not work with that particular file. That file is purely for Studio to write the code. Okay, let me show you. Open the Solution Explorer. Watch. This is form1.cs. When you expand this, you'll see a form1.designer.cs. Form1.designer.cs. Open it and watch your. This is the second part of the file. This is the second part of the file, partial class form1. Do you remember these points, guys? In one file, you write public, the whole class is public. No need to write on each and every file. I said, you know, it's present here, not present here. In one file, you perform inheritance. That is enough. The whole application will inherit. No need to do again and again in all the files. I said, you know, here also. See that. But in all files, we must use the partial keyword. So here also we use the partial keyword. And here also we use the partial keyword. And remember, guys, the .cs file is for developers to write the code. Okay, to differentiate, it's very clearly follows this particular rule. What do you know? Designer.cs. You'll find another file called form1.designer.cs. And anytime you look into your file with the name called designer.cs, remember that file is not for you. That file is for Studio to write the code. You should not write anything into that file. Are you clear? The first time I shown you. Going forward, you'll be finding it in the web applications. Everywhere you'll find designer.cs. Whenever you find designer.cs file, put in the mind. What is that? These files should not be edited by us. These files are purely for Studio to auto-generate code. Studio will be auto-generating all the code for you at this particular place. You created some controls now. Button 1, checkbox 1, combo box 1, text box 1. Every control is a class. And we are going to create the instance of the class. Declaration, global declaration. So accessible throughout my class. Okay, then initialization, it is present here, guys. See, instance creation. It is writing a lengthy statements with all the namespace prefixes. but just understand it's a namespace only. So what is it? Button is equals to new button. Checkbox is equals to new checkbox. Combo box is equals to new combo box. Text box 1 is equals to new instance are created now. For every control, some properties are set. The location, the name of it, the size of it, the text of it, some properties will be set for every control. See how much code it is present. Just for 4 controls. Imagine like you have 100 controls on your screen, how much code is going to be present? Lot of code. Apart from that, now you need to write the code again. For click of the button, you need to write the code for saving the data to database or loading the data from the database. You need to write a lot of coding now. All code in one file becomes confusion. That is the reason why this file contains what? Designer code. The name itself, designer.cs, contains what? Designer code. Designer code means the code for designing the UI. That's called as the designer code. Are you clear? Now you see, for every class, for every form, not every class, for every form, there are 3 files now. Watch the 3 files. First file. Come from right to left. First file. Open the mouth here. Form1.cs, design. Understood that? What you do there? We design the UI now. Second, form1.cs, that is code. Here we are going to write the business logic. There we are going to write the business logic. Third one. And that is the designer code. That is the designer code. And this designer code is basically associated with the design. Whatever you design here, based on that, the designer code will be generated. Is the point clearer or not? See, the design and designer code both are tightly coupled with each other. Whatever you design here, the code gets auto-generated for you under the designer.cs file. Okay, watch. I will remove all the controls, selecting them, delete. When I delete, come back to designer.cs file, check it out, everything is deleted. Deleted, see? Are you clear? Again, try placing a button. Clear or not? If you need to write that particular code here, it will take a lot of time for you to designing also. That's why Studio is telling, I'll give you a beautiful option of drag and drop. You drag and drop. I will write all code for you. Just make use of that particular code now. Okay? You don't require to write any coding. All coding will be done by the Studio itself under designer.cs file. So the designer.cs files are mainly for auto generation of the code. Okay, and we should not write code in that. We should not write any code in that particular file. See, giving a comment there, read it. Required method for designer support. Do not modify the contents of this method with the code editor. With the code editor, don't make the modification. Code editor means this is the code editor. This file, don't make any modification. You can make modifications, guys, but not from here. You can make modifications, but not from here. How to make? I'll tell you. You can make modifications in the design, but not in the designer file. See, what is the size of this button? See, width is 218 and height is 84. I want to change it. You want to change it? You can come here and you can change it here, guys. You can change it here. I'm going to change it here. And now modified, see? So what it tells is do it in the design, but don't do it in the designer. You do it in the design, I will write code for you in the designer. That's what. Are you clear? And we will be working with this file we are not going to work with this file at all. We are not going to work with this file. That is the reason why by default the file is not visible. What is visible to you? Default design view, and right click, it will show you code view. These two only important for us. If you want to see the designer file, what to do? Open the Solution Explorer, expand your form now, and under that you will find form1.designer.cs. Double click on it, and just this is going to open you the designer file for you. Are you guys clearer? Yes or not? Okay, fine. So right now, did I write any code, guys? Till now, did I write even a single line of code here? By default, that came with a form. I can run it also, F5. Same process, F5. Runs the form, see. In the notepad also, you saw the same thing only when you have written the code there and executed. But now here directly F5, straight away runs your form. Hold on. Form is executing. Executing, see, this is the runtime. The form is executing to you right now. If you start placing your controls, you can see all the controls on the screen now. If you place any controls, you can see all the controls on the screen. And this is your form, what has been created. Okay. But see, to run this form, to run this class, we need a main method now. But there is no main method in the class at all. Come, just recollect the code I've written in the notepad. I've written a main method, created the instance, passed the instance to it. Yes or not? But we don't see any of those things in the project here. I don't find this. Where is the main method? Without a main method, how will it run? Louder. Without a main method, how is the code running? Can the code run without a main method? Tell me, can your application run without a main method? No. Main method is mandatory. If at all you want to run, you require a main method. But still the main method is missing here and the code is still running there. Okay. So second thing is, maybe the main method is present in the second file. Which file? Designer.cs file. Let us see that. That also we need to get a clarity here. Any file it can be. So let us go and see. No, yeah, here also we don't have a main method. See there. No main method. But tell me one thing, guys. Do you require to write the main method in the same class? Huh? Can't you write the main method in another class and run this class? Possible or not possible? It's not mandatory to write the main method in each and every class. You can write main method in some other class and from there you can create the instance and run. That is also possible now. Correct? Let us see. Is there any other class in the project? Yes, guys, there's one more class in the project. What is that? In the console apps also we have this now. In Windows also we have this program.cs. Let's open and see. See, it's a static class. It is a, and you remember static class will contain only static members in it. It's a static class. And in this class, there is a main method. See, what is it telling you? The main entry point for the application. And there you find the main method. So let me explain you. Say, tomorrow in the project, you'll have 20-30 forms. 20-30 forms. Okay. So basically the point is, you might be want to run different forms. You might be want to run different forms. So 20-30 forms will not have main methods here. One main method only here. A project should have one main method only, one entry point only. Multiple entry points should not be there. But in console application, in every class, you written a main. And every main is a entry point. That's a wrong thing. You should not do like that at all. But there, I'm only telling you the concept. From today, we are learning about application development. In console application, I did not teach you about application development. In console application, I was only telling you about the concept. What is a class, how to define a class, inheritance. So that's why I've written individual main methods and ran. But from today onwards, we are learning about application development. So when you are building an application, put this in the mind, an application can have multiple entry points. An application cannot have multiple entry points. How many entry points are allowed? One and only one entry point. And this is the entry point of your project. See there, the main entry point for the application. We will not be writing one more main method in the project. We will not write one more main method in the project. One only. And that's already present at this particular place. Clear? And what is the code inside of the main method? Let us see. Yeah, guys, see the last line. So who starts the execution first? Program class. Who starts the execution? Program class. Main method executes. In the main method, creating the instance of form 1 and executing the form 1 to you. Are you clear? Yes or not? So the execution starts from here and it will create the instance now and it runs to you. When you start, it is going to. But actually, the entry point is program. Program will now create the instance of form 1 and executes the form 1 to you. This is the output what you see. In see, basically the only thing here in Notepad, I put all the thing in a single file. So now if I have 10 forms, 10 main methods will come. But in the Visual Studio, we have put the main method in the program class. If 10 forms, 10 main methods won't come here. How many main methods will be there? One only. One main method only will be present. Multiple main methods won't be present. I hope you are clear. Tomorrow you are adding a new form in the project. Tomorrow you wanted to add a new form in the project. How to add? Same like you're adding a class only process is. Right click, add new item. Till now you selected classes and all now. Now you have an option to select Windows form. Better in the left hand side, select Windows here. It will show you the Windows related things now. Windows form. Okay. Name is form 2. Add it. Again, you have all the three things. What? Design, code, designer.cs, all are same again. Here also, we have all the three items again. This is a design. Right click takes you to code. Right click takes you to the code. Again, expand this. You can see designer.cs. So every form will have all the three items to it. All the three to it. But we'll be least bothered about designer. What is important for us? Design view, code view. Only those two. See here also, you have a design view, code view, design view, code view. Point clear. Okay. Now, when I run this, which form is running? Let us see. No doubt, form 1 will run. Form 1 is running. Why? Program class is showing you new form 1 only. I want to run form 2. Change this to form 2 and run the code. What will run? Form 2 runs now. This is how we'll run. We don't set any startup object nowhere. We'll come here and we'll be changing the name of the form we wanted to run. Even in core also same. In framework also same process. Open that file and there you change it and it runs you the form you want. Clearer? Now tell me, by default the project is coming with how many classes? By default, the project is coming with how many classes? When you open the project, how many classes are there? 2. One is program, one is form 1. One is the program class and the second one is the form 1 class. Watch guys, this is the project. First class, file name. Second one, form 1 class. Under that you have two things again, design view, code view. Design view is present in, and this code view is again has two parts in it. Code, two parts. One is, and one is form1.cs. Did you understand the picture? This is your form. Two items. One is design, one is code. Code is again designer code, business logic. Designer code, business logic. Designer.cs file means designer code. Form1.cs means business logic. There we need to write the logic. We still did not write any logic. If we need to start writing the logic should be written under the .cs file what we have, not the designer.cs file. Designer.cs file is for studio to write and .cs is for us to write. Are you clear? Now see, if at all you take second form, form 2, again all these things will be repeating same only. Form 2, again, design view, code view. Under code view again, form2.designer.cs, form2.cs. That architecture will be same for all the things. Okay, just what you'll do is open a project, try to create a form and just check all the things what I shown to you. Clearer? Huh? So tomorrow onwards I'll teach you how to work with properties, how to work with methods, how to work with events. We'll see from the tomorrow session. Let's stop here. We'll meet tomorrow.
Recording stopped.